Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monster's Den. We've got a fun-packed show for you today. Today's review day, right? So we're going to review a brand new film that just debuted, a week or so ago, right?
Yeah,
like
last Friday, yeah.
Last Friday. So the film is called Prey. It's actually the brand new prequel to the first Predator film. So a brand new Predator film, ironically, about a month after we reviewed the whole Predator franchise. Now we got a new one to talk about. So let's introduce everybody before we get started. So of course we got Mr. Chris Allo, the King, is here all the way from Scotland. We're keeping him up really, really late tonight. Davy Gallagher. We've got Jamie Laszlo, fresh from Roger Waters' concert last night.
Yep.
And we got Craig Kaminski. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up,
everybody?
Everything's great. Everything's wonderful.
Good, good. So Dan Trachtenberg directed this brand new film, debuted on Hulu, of all places. So I don't know if this is getting a theatrical run at some point.
No.
I think it's on Disney Plus in some countries.
Yes, that I
Yeah,
believe.
because we don't have Hulu, so it is on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which is, it's quite funny when it recommends, Tinkerbell's Next Adventure followed by Prey. Yeah.
Very strange. But a prequel. Okay, so this apparently takes place in 1719, back in the old Comanche days. And apparently, I guess what they're trying to discuss or show in this film is it is in this particular scenario the first time the predators, I guess, visit planet Earth and start messing around and doing what they do best. So let's start with Chris. We'll go Chris and Davey, Jamie, Craig, and myself, and let's each give some thoughts on the film, what you thought about it, and we'll start with Chris.
Okay, cool. I have two lists. I have things I liked and things I didn't like. So do I do both or just go through?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we each do the things we like, and then we'll circle back and do that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Overall, I liked the movie. I didn't love it. I know a lot of people are going crazy over this movie, but I liked it. But I don't mean to be extra critical, but I'm the guy with a huge Predator tattoo on my leg, so I think about Predator every single day, and I'm sure that outweighs most of the population. So I am certainly more critical, but overall I did like it. I liked that it was a very simple plot. And it is basically, without rehashing the entire movie, it's basically the plot of the first movie, just in 1719 with different people. I mean, it's a stalk and slash. It's a predator out in the woods hunting people. This time, instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger and a bunch of muscleheads, it's a bunch of Comanche Indians led by a female lead. So I liked that it was simple and back to the original, and it wasn't this whole world-ending thing that the whole world's gonna fucking blow up like every superhero movie or every other sci-fi movie that comes out. It was very simple. I thought it was a good cast. I thought it was good acting. I thought it was very fast-paced. I thought it was a good running time, 100 minutes. Again, very similar to the original. So it was tight pacing. I really liked the look of the movie. It was completely shot, at least to me. It looked completely outdoors, out in the wilderness, in the fucking mountains. It was totally believable. Again, similar to most of the original, which was done out in the fucking jungle. Again, it's slightly different, but very similar. A lot of good action, a lot of gore, a lot of blood and guts. There was a few Easter eggs. Like at one point, one of the characters turns to the female lead, the brother. His real name, I think, is Dakota. And he's like, and she was like, well, how do we kill this thing? And she's like, I don't know if we can kill it. And he goes, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I laughed. I'm like, that's hysterical. And I really liked how they had the flintlock pistol at the end of Predator 2. I thought that was very cool how they incorporated that into this movie. And overall, again, I thought it was good, but it's not great. There's people that are like, oh, this is the greatest Predator movie ever. This blows away the original. This is the best Predator sequel ever. Oh my God, this is better than my mom's homemade fudge. Like, listen, fucking, slow down here. Let's not get crazy. Again, I thought it was good and entertaining, but it's not great. And that's my like list. I have an equally, probably a little bit longer of a dislike list.
Okay.
One things which I won't mention, I picked up after Jamie mentioned it on Facebook. And I was like, son of a bitch,
yeah.
he was completely.
I'll be talking about that too.
Davey, your thoughts?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as Chris. I think I really liked it, with the caveat that for a corporate Disney product, it was more than I was expecting. And when you put it in the context of the last Predator film being The Predator, this does look like a bloody masterpiece, because that was such a disaster. That was a horrible film. Do we know that this is the first time the Predators have been? I don't know, because does Alien versus Predator count? Because they were kings of Egypt according to that, but who knows if that still happens? Who really cares? I think the best approach to take with it is to do it like this small scale idea. It's like a soft reboot, but they are doing it in continuity, because as Chris mentioned, you've got the flintlock pistol that Danny Glover gets, although that ends up back at the village at the end, so there must be some kind of further adventure, and I kind of hope we don't get a sequel to this, because we don't need it. You'll just be falling into the same trap as the original series of doing it again. Oh my goodness, it happened again. But I love that. At first I was unsure, why is it called Prey? And I thought it was called Prey to get away from the Predator name because of the taint of the 2018 film. But I haven't seen it. I think it makes sense that it's called Prey, because it is that girl's story. And it's about her using her wits to learn about, I don't need to be a better fighter, I need to be a smarter person than this killer. So it's foreshadowed with the hunt that she's on at the start, where she's watching, she sees how the predator observes the apex predator in its environment, trying to kill the rabbit, and she takes that on board. And then she uses that later on with the Frenchman and things, and how to almost play dead so that the predator doesn't consider her a threat. So it really is her as the prey who is the point of the film, unlike Dutch from the first film, where it is just a great action movie. I mean, it's a fantastic time. I'm not going to criticize the first Predator, but I really like that this is almost a coming of age film that just happens to have a predator in it as well. I think it's a very modern idea, but it doesn't ram it down your throat. Because at times it was nice and glacially paced for the first half, and it was almost a bit Bone Tomahawk. It kind of was evoking that kind of tone. And it was, it felt like, Randolph Scott could have turned up at certain points or something. It was a real old-fashioned kind of feel to it before stuff really starts to go down, and then it really does. I was a bit worried, is it going to be too undercooked? Are they not going to go the whole way with this? Because it is Disney, obviously. Are they going to cut the balls off the predator? But no, when the gore hits, the gore really hits. When the predator shows up and he's covered in the blood of the bear, he's covered in blood. It's pretty awesome. Small niggles, but really I think this is such a tight little movie that I think there's no real fatal flaws with it. That's also perhaps a criticism, because there's not enough in it to have any fatal flaws. It's so tight. If this was directed 20 years ago, I think the person to direct it would be Walter Hill, who's just a perfect director of these kind of tight little action films. I think, the tone that he could have brought to it would have been perfect. It's a little bit slicker. I don't think that Trachtenberg's a great director. I think he's got great visuals. I think he's got great pace, but I don't think he's a great director. I think it does have flaws. He did 10 Cloverfield Lane with John Goodman, which again was 3/4 of a great movie and then just 1/4 of an okay movie. So that's kind of the trajectory this is on as well. So as a standalone movie, I think it's for a Disney movie, especially with what they've done to some of their franchises, I think it's pretty fantastic at times. But in the larger context of being a great Predator movie, it's good. It probably is my second, maybe third favorite, because I do like Predator too, because I like Gary Busey on coke and Bill Paxton on whatever Bill Paxton was on, but yeah,
Paxton on air.
I think it was just on Life. But yeah, so I'd say that it's certainly better than The Predator. It's certainly well better than any of the Alien versus movies. And I don't know, I quite liked Predators, but you know, again, half a decent movie, half a yeah. But I think this is as close to the original as you can get without just copying it. But the context gives it a different feel, different vibe. And I think that's a good idea to do it as a one and done to reboot the franchise for a new generation. But please do not just give us another Comanche movie and call it Prey 2 next. We need to now do something completely different, because that's why this has worked.
Cool. Jamie.
Well, yeah, everyone's saying they don't want a sequel, but it might have set itself up for a sequel. I don't know what that little, during the ending credits, it shows
The 3 spaceships, yeah.
the spaceship come to them. Are we supposed to take that as, they all die anyways? Or, what happens next? We'll find out in Prey 2. I don't know. But hey, if they do it well, Prey 2, I'm all for it. Just don't fuck it up, That's all. We're all like doomsday here. Oh, if they do it again, it's gonna suck. Well, it's not. It might be good.
It's Disney. Come on, they will fuck up. They will fuck up.
My goodness, be George Michael. Have a little faith. So yes,
he's dead.
We'll all be dead sooner or later. What's Jesus? You guys,
that's where his faith
grim mood. Lighten up. Yeah, I think if they were going to make another Predator movie, this was the perfect way to go. Just a whole different angle, more or less. Yes, it's kind of similar story, but it's a whole different angle. Let's go back to 300 years ago when they didn't have modern weapons. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Alien 3 when they didn't have guns. I liked that idea, even though they took away the guns for a weird reason, I think, in that movie.
A masterpiece of a movie.
Yeah, it sucks. But this is done right if you're going to do it without like modern guns and stuff. I do have written here, Davy, coming of age movie hidden within a Predator movie. So thanks for stealing my line on that one. But I do love the story. This director, Dan Trachtenberg, I'm taking it, he's a young guy because, he did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I like. I like pretty much all of it. And he also did a very cool episode of Black Mirror. And if you guys are not watching Black Mirror, I feel bad for you because you're missing out on some of the best TV ever. If you like sci-fi, if you like horror, if you like thrillers, and you're not watching this, it's some of the smartest stories ever. It's like the Twilight Zone, a modern day Twilight Zone. Has to do with technology all the time, like how it's going to bite us in the ass. And he directed a really cool episode. So yeah, going into this, I'm watching it, and I think it's directed well. Maybe it has issues with the editing a little bit, but I think it's directed well. I love the images of the when the cat, I don't know if it's a lion or something, is on one side of the tree and she's on the other side of the tree, and it's a striking image. It looks like it came right out of a comic book. I like the image of her when she jumped down towards the end on top of the Predator. Looks like something right out of a comic book. Again, looks good. I like when she was on the tree with the lion and he's spinning the camera around. He causes a lot of tension in this movie when she's on sinking in the. I don't want to give away too much, but there's a scene with quicksand. He really does that well. I'm on the edge of my seat. I watched this movie twice this week, and with the quicksand, I was on the edge of my seat both times. I think it's really done. He did well with the bear scene, and the bear fighting the Predator was pretty cool. I mean, you got the CGI. You're not going to get Avengers CGI here. It's on Hulu and Disney Plus. But for whatever budget they had, I think it looks great. And it's got. This is what I love about it too. It's got. On top of the decent directing that I think it has, it's got cool bits, and I love bits. Sometimes I do a bit on this show because I just love them. Add spice to things. The scene where what are they called? The frontiermen or the Voyagers or whatever, the Frenchmen. they're shooting. We're so used to seeing people shoot at the predator constantly, and they shoot a couple times and then they got to reload. And I'm laughing. That's a good bit. And the one frontier guy, he shoots the predator, bounces off the predator and into his head instead. That's a good bit. You know what that is to me? That's the filmmakers saying, hey, audience, we didn't forget about you. We're not just doing this by the numbers here, just not going to do action scene act. We're throwing in a little bit of bits that we came up with to keep you occupied and entertained. It's like X and O's. Remember X and O's that your grandmother would put at the bottom of your card? Happy birthday, Chris. XOXOXO. Those little bits are the kisses and hugs in this movie. So yes, I do like this movie quite a bit. I have one major issue that Chris is going to get into that I did say on Facebook that we'll get into that. And that's why I watched it twice, because there's two versions out there.
Right.
And I watched both versions. And we'll get into all that on my second go around.
Cool. Great.
I liked it. I had pretty low expectations going in, being with, as Davy said, prior film being The Predator, which as we all know was not good, but and then upon reading all the things, it's like, best sequel, only to the first one, and then I was reading this, I'm like, that's crazy talk, that's drunk talk, I mean, how can you, but I did end up enjoying it. I mean, with the title and everything, with being prey, I mean, you see that the predator is observing all these different, he sees the wolf going after a bunny, leaves the bunny alone, or sees the snake going after like a mouse or a mole or something, and it's like, okay, I get this, and sees the buffaloes trapped, and then kind of erroneously puts two and two together when he sees what's her name, Neru trapped, that it's like, okay, well, therefore she's not a threat. So it's like, I'm really not concerned about her. But I liked, as Chris had said, that it's a small cast. I mean, and that it's really streamlined. There's really only two people that you give a shit about, in the whole movie. I mean, it's just, her and I don't know what his war chief. I mean, she calls him
and the dog.
Pardon me? Oh, and the dog, and the
Cool.
and the doggy. Yeah, the doggy is cool. Which I looked up the breed. It said it's a Carolina dog, and supposedly it's notoriously hard to train. It's not a very easily trained dog, but because they said I read something about that said that they had a little bit of a problem trying to get the dog to do what they wanted and everything, or that it didn't.
Like most things from Carolina.
Yeah, but oh, go ahead. But yeah, I like that it was streamlined and everything. It wasn't too long. It kind of got right to the point and everything. I like the setting also, that it was outside, nice in the woods. You get to see the predator running or jumping from tree to tree without camouflage, which was
That's a good point.
And they didn't have the trees that he was jumping on, they didn't have leaves, so you could actually see him hopping around to running after her, or at least to get the high ground when the Frenchmen were all trying to shoot him. I also thought that was funny with the whole reloading, having to shoot once, and then it's like you gotta take your time and reload. And I my friend Joe that I was watching this with, I don't have Hulu, so I went to a friend's house to watch it, and we were both talking about how Revolutionary War things, like, or when you see in the movies, it's like that they're all standing in line and they all just shoot each other, then they fall down, then they gotta take load and take a few steps forward and everything. That's just an unconventional type of warfare that you're used that we as viewers are used to seeing. I like that they didn't sexy her up to a point, because you could tell she's very pretty, looking at and I'm glad that they kept it, at least I suppose, as faithful as you could. Like, they didn't have her running around with like a tube top on and bare midriff and everything, that they kept it as close for a movie like this that you could. I like the fighting scenes, as you guys had mentioned. when the war chief is on the horse and he's throwing throwing spears a couple times. I was saying to my friend, it's like, well, it's not like he's got a whole shitload of arrows. He shoots one. What's he going to do? And they actually showed it's like he would shoot and then he got up close to him, like yanked one out and shot another one. At the part where I believe, Chris, you had said about the if it bleeds, we can kill it. No shit. As soon, right when he said that, I yelled it out. And then he says it, and my buddy and I just start cracking up because that was like the one predictable line. The one part that I was looking for that they didn't do was I thought towards the end you see the dog fetches her tomahawk thing that she's using, and I said to my friend, I said, put money on it. That she's going to be saying to the dog, get to the chopper.
The chopper, right? Okay.
Because that was, that, and I thought that's. I swear, I thought that was going to happen, and it didn't. So
that would have been a bridge too far.
This is why I don't. This is why I don't.
That
write
would have been funny.
This is why I don't write screenplays, because I probably would have put that in and people would have threw something at me, But I kept thinking that it's like that she was going to say that to the doggy to fetch her that, and and so that she could use it, because you saw that she was pretty adept at doing whatever she had, like a rope or something attached to it that she could attack from a distance, basically, and didn't have to get right on top of them to stab or anything like that. And then I also liked that there were some red herrings with, like when she gets stuck in the mud, I immediately thought that the predator, because I again said to my friend, I said, oh, Predator's not going to be able to see her, she's going to, because nobody believed her that she said something's out here, I saw something, and of course, everybody's like, her tribe didn't believe her or anything. I thought when she got stuck in the mud, that the Predator would be moseying on by and wouldn't be able to see her, but that didn't happen. They kind of paid that off a little bit towards the end with the final fight between the Predator and I'm sorry, I forget where Nabu or something like that. But yeah, all in all, I did enjoy it, and I watched it in standard English with the English subtitles on, just for my own sake. And I don't think my friend knew how to flip it over to Comanche, even if we wanted to do that. But I think Davy had maybe mentioned this on a Facebook comment. I'm sort of glad they didn't just do it like an Apocalypto and just put it all in in native language, and then you have to have to read the movie the whole time. I mean,
they would have limited their audio, I think, if they did that.
Yeah,
100%.
I would have liked that. I would have liked that, but you can see why a big studio franchise would never do it in a million years.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I understand why they wouldn't do something like that, and I'm sure once we come back around, when we there were some problems, at least I had with some of the language or some of the dialogue that was used. It wasn't necessarily authentic, but all in all, I did enjoy it. I would probably say it's I only watched it once, but I would watch it again, and I didn't have a problem with it, putting it neck and neck, at least with Predator 2 and Predators, plural. I enjoyed both those movies, and this I'm glad my low expectations were met. But so yeah, I did enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it too, quite a bit actually. More, and maybe because I tempered my expectations. Before they started playing it, there were reviews out there, and there were people who were, like Chris said, proclaiming it as the greatest Predator movie ever, to some people saying it was complete dog shit. And I was like, when I started hearing a lot, I'm like, well, it's probably neither, but I'll judge for myself. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. The cinematography was gorgeous. Camera work was great. I thought the actors were terrific. I mean, Amber Midhunter, or Mid-Thunder, I thought she was amazing. I really liked her in this role a lot. She was very believable. You really cared about her and everything she was trying to do. I thought the Predator looked good. What I thought was really kind of cool here is, obviously this was, 300 years in the past. And I like the fact that the Predator looked different. He had different head armor. His face looked completely different. So it goes to show you that the Predators had evolved over the years from that movie to the more recent ones. If you notice, the tech that he was using, not quite as cool as the tech that the Predators used in successive movies. So you really get to see the evolution of the Predator, I think, which is pretty cool. And I really like that a lot. I thought the first half of the movie kind of takes you, on a little journey, sets everything up really nice, not boring at all. And then it reaches a point where it's just nonstop for the whole second half of the movie. And I thought that, like Chris mentioned, plenty of gore, lots of action. The fight scenes were great. Yeah, is the storyline basically very similar to the first movie? Sure, but in a completely different location, in a completely different time. And I think that worked in its favor, because I think that helped a lot of us old school Predator fans relate to this more than, come on, that last film is just terrible, right? Because it's too far removed from what we want to see in a Predator film. So I really enjoyed this a lot. Did it have some faults? For sure, which we're going to get into in a second. But I agree with what all of you have said. If I had to rank this in the franchise right now, based on just watching it once, the first one's always going to be the first. And I really like the second movie, and I like the Predators. Is that the third?
Predators, yeah.
Predators, with Adrian Brody, yeah.
I liked this as much as either one of those. Whether I like it more or less, I don't know, because I only saw it once and it was recent. But I think in time it could grow to be my number 2 favorite. I don't know, but really good. I enjoyed it. I'd see it again. I was pleasantly surprised, but a few faults. We'll get started on that now. So back to Chris.
Okay, yep. I didn't think all the CGI looked great. Some things I thought looked kind of dodgy.
The bear.
The bear and a couple other things, but like Jamie, had mentioned, you got to go budget constraints, I'm sure. But the first thing that Jamie had mentioned on Facebook, which absolutely drove me bonkers the entire movie, was, yes, they were speaking English, but they were speaking modern English.
Took you right out of it.
It took completely out of it. One of my favorite movies is the 1992 film Last of the Mohicans, which is set in 1757 and is set around the French and Indian War. So it's French trappers, Indians, American settlers, and the entire movie, everyone speaks old school English. So it's completely believable. At one point,
someone says okay. That was the one part that I saw. The guy who gives her the gun. At one point, he actually says to her, "It's okay." And I looked it up, and I was like, "When did okay come into use?" And that was like in the 18 something, with Martin Van Buren.
And that's the part that bothers me, because they were like, "Well, wait, they were trying to be so accurate." To the time period. And I'm like, but wait a second, guys. People didn't fucking talk like this. There was this one point where her dog runs into the woods and finds where the bear took a shit. And the Comanche warriors turn to Naru and they go, "Great, your dog literally found shit." And I'm like, people didn't fucking talk like that 300 years ago. This is stupid. Like James said, completely taking me out of it. Now, I know there was the Comanche version. It's my understanding that Trachtenberg wanted to shoot the entire movie twice. He wanted to shoot it in English and in Comanche. Didn't have enough money, so he had to shoot it in English and then dub it in Comanche. But I had friends over to watch the movie. They didn't want to watch it subtitled in Comanche.
Were
so
they
I had
Comanche?
to watch it.
Chris,
Were
but
your
you have
friends
to
Comanche?
Go ahead. Say again, Pete.
You have to wonder though, and I totally agree with you 100%, but you have to wonder if the studio figured the only way to sell this movie on modern movie audiences is to have modern dialogue, so they can. So it's almost like it's not their fault. It's the fault of the viewing audience on a massive scale, because they won't accept anything.
Last of the Mohicans was a huge hit. but that was 30 years ago. So
Right.
you
30
could
years,
be,
no.
you could be
It
Well,
doesn't
totally
seem
right.
like
that's based on a
30
book,
years
so-
ago,
Right.
but it is.
Yeah, that's
But it did. It for something that's supposed to be a very accurate period piece, that bothered me. I know, Pete, I know you said you liked the look of the helmet. I didn't like the fucking bone helmet look. Where's the eyelids? And also I'm like, well, wait a second. In the original and in some of the subsequent movies, whenever there's the reveal, he unhooks the helmet and there's like smoke coming out like it's some kind of breathing apparatus. I'm like, all right, obviously this had no breathing because it was a bone, but I'm like, where's the fucking eyelids? How is he seeing through this skull? I don't understand.
I just look at it. It was 300 years before. Maybe they evolved a lot more in the years.
Well,
and I guess that's the gimmick, and I guess that's why they made the Predator, his face, so different looking.
Yeah.
But I fucking hated that look. I could
There's-
not
there's-
stand it.
There's
didn't
something
like it
about that
much.
which I'll wait till I get to it, but there's things that I went under the same assumption that Pete had, about that. Okay, it's 300 years ago, but then there's things that I read that it's like, oh no, that's not
Right.
the case.
I mean,
But
I
I'll
read
wait
that
till
it's supposed to be a feral predator or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't like the look. He looks like a mongoloid version of the Predator. The face just looked like shit. It was shitty.
Like silly
CGI.
putty. If you got
Yeah.
Predator face on silly putty and stretched it.
Yeah. The face looked fucked up. The teeth looked fucked up. I didn't like it. I hated the part where when they're fighting, Naru grabs one of his mandibles and just pulls it out and stabs him in the eye. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This would be like if you're fighting a bear or a tiger, you're going to pull a tooth out of his, or even a saber-toothed tiger, whatever. It's a fucking tooth, which has roots. I mean, I don't know predator anatomy, but I don't think they're that soft. It was completely fucking ridiculous. Also, and Davy mentioned it. So wait a second. You're telling me now that this is the feral predator and it looked different and it had different technology, but we saw in Alien versus Predator, they told us that the predators have been coming to Earth for thousands of years, and they showed us the predator in the fucking pyramid, and they looked exactly the same. They had the same technology. They had the same look. So now they're changing that. I thought that was
canon.
I
fun.
guess Alien versus Predator isn't canon anymore.
Not
Yeah.
But no, it is, because in the Predator, which we're assuming is still canon, in the Predator on the wall, they show you the fucking weapon that the Predator made for the female lead in Alien vs. Predator. So who the fuck knows? I'm sure nobody cares as much about the Predators as we do. So, nobody.
Yeah.
at Fox
Never
knows
argue with a
what the
guy with a
fuck.
Predator tattoo on his
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And my last point that I absolutely fucking hated was, spoiler alert, the Predator shooting himself because of the targeting system being on the floor. I thought that was so
it was in the
fucking
helmet.
stupid.
Or was in the helmet.
Right. I mean, listen, I have no problem with this girl outsmarting the Predator, because Arnold outsmarted the fucking Predator, and any human that's killed any Predator has to outsmart him. But I thought that was so fucking dumb that he accidentally shoots himself because the targeting thing is on the. Why would you even need the targeting thing? She was like 3 feet away.
Mhm.
And why wouldn't you just turn it off? Like, you wouldn't know? I mean, okay, it's a feral predator, but he's smart enough to use all these computerized weapons on his arm. So I just thought that ending was hokey. I thought they could have come up with something much better. I mean, it was me and two buddies, and we all groaned. Like, really? That's your ending.
My friend and I laughed that we said, oh, if the other predators are monitoring this from space, because they got to come pick him up, they all just went, what are you doing, buddy? How'd you get your?
How'd you forget
let
that?
your helmet fall
Didn't you
off?
read the manual?
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought, that ending just ruined it for me. Like, again, I didn't hate the movie, but I'm like, there's a bunch of little things, but to me that was like the biggest thing where I was like, oh guys, come on. She couldn't have figured out some kind of other trap or something. So that really, really bothered me. I thought that was a terrible ending. And that's the stuff that I really didn't like.
And she cut that head off and lugged that thing back.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool. They showed she was a badass. Like, she cut that French dude's leg off. I mean, there really was a lot to like. But I'm like, man, there was just a few things. If you could fucking amazing. But they didn't for whatever reason. I mean, there was no other way they could end the movie.
You know what? I had to watch
targeting
it
thing?
3 times because I was confused on what the fuck happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
I was like,
buddy of mine asked me
what
afterwards,
happened?
He's like, "What's with that ending?" And I'm
And
like,
then I'm
the
online reading.
Yeah.
How did it end? Okay, so she takes she took the helmet and she put it there. Then what the fuck happens?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, it
confusing.
was bad.
And
Like,
how did the guy, the French guy or the translator guy who gave her the gun, how did he have so much background on the Predator? Like he knew, like, oh yeah, they're coming here. There's something that's coming here and it's checking out all the animals.
Yeah, I liked that.
and I was like, wait, how the hell do you know that?
There is a mystery. I liked that.
I was like, how'd you figure that out?
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with that.
They can bang out another prequel, before this one.
I'd rather have that than Prey 2. I'd rather have the.
Yeah, I would love to see, and forget Prey 2. I would love to see the Predator in feudal Japan fighting samurai and ninja.
Yep.
I think that'd be fucking great.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then the Old West, you could do it.
The Old West would be great. Cowboys and horses and 6-shooters.
Well, do you know,
That's a great idea.
Years ago, when I was doing a film course at university, we had to pitch a sequel, and I pitched Terminator. It would have been 4 at the time, and my idea was that the Terminator goes back to the Wild West, because why does the Terminator always just go back to 5 minutes before it needs to kill John Connor?
Right.
Why does it not go back to the Wild West and kill Granny Connor or something?
I like that.
And then you've got the term, and unfortunately, I think this kind of film might lead to that kind of thinking from the studio. Now we might end up seeing the Terminator in the Wild West or Alien.
I'd be fine with that. Can't be worse than the last
Terminator versus Predator, right? Who knows?
Why not?
Yeah.
They did it in the comics. Listen, when they were under Dark Horse Comics, they did it all. They were the first guys to do Alien versus Predator, RoboCop versus Terminator, Batman versus Predator, Superman versus Alien.
They also did Comanches versus Predators. That's not an original idea either. So.
Davey, your thoughts?
But yeah, so going to again, Chris covered it there in terms of the ending. It was just convoluted. It felt like they didn't have a. I think they set the character up of Nero very well in terms of her talents and wanting to better herself, but I don't think they set up a clever way for her to naturally kill the Predator. I think they could have developed that further and sewn it into the plot earlier on. Maybe even have it take place over a longer period of time and she learned something from the French or something like that. I just don't think that there was it felt like, oh, how can we have her actually deliver the killing blow here? I'd never mind, just have her rip out a mandible and, no, it just, that does not make sense for her character, for her size. And it doesn't make sense in terms of the context of the franchise either, because even Dutch, the biggest, burliest character in the franchise, realized it's not about strength, it's about how to outsmart these things. That's the only way you can defeat them. But somehow she's able to do these things. That didn't quite work for me. The design, I think, is very ugly for the Predator, but I don't actually have a major issue with it. I think it sells itself quite well, and I mentioned Bone Tomahawk. It does have that kind of grotesque look of quite a few of the things in Bone Tomahawk when you see the cannibal tribe and that. There's quite a lot of bone things in that you see. I like the tech aspect that you mentioned, Pete, where you see the same basic equipment, but a more old school version of it from the Predator's point of view. So instead of the lasers, it's projectile weapons, still that kind of thing. But I think that's kind of the problem. They've kind of just taken every beat from the first film and said, and then 300 years earlier, it would have been this, it would have been this, it would have been this. I don't think they added enough original Predator material to it. I think they added a really good story with the brother and sister, but I don't think they added a particularly interesting Predator lore to events at all. And I think you can get away with that once, but again, that ending just gives me the fear that they're going to try and keep rolling this out in terms instead of expand. instead of taking another chance and just doing something quite different once more. Now, we know, unfortunately, that going very different means you get the Predator, where it's just, Predator dogs, and, they're coming here to steal. Was the child's autism was a superpower to the Predators? And, what? No. But I think the sequel bait and the it's exactly what Legendary Pictures did for the new Monsterverse with Godzilla and Kong, where they tell it in terms of the scrolls on the wall. That's exactly how they set up that Kong was coming into Godzilla and things. So I think they are kind of telling us the Predators are coming back because we know they have to, because that gun ends up with the Predators. It ends up with the Predators for Predator 2, doesn't it? So they must come back at some point, and we do see the drawing of the 3 ships. So I hope that they just leave that out there and leave it to our imagination, and then just take this as a right, we got away with that one, let's see what else we can do. Because I've not got too much of a problem with a soft reboot just to prove we know what we're doing. But then if you just keep doing that again, you kind of lose me. So the next one, I'm with Chris. I'd like to see something just a bit more out there, ambitious. So you've done your scaled back. We know what we're doing. This is John McTiernan territory. Let's see what you can now do to expand it in a way that makes sense, in a way that, as much as I like it in a kind of scuzzy, fun way, Predator 2 never quite did. So let's see if they can somehow expand this mythos without going silly with it, or without going po-face like Ridley Scott did with Prometheus or that kind of thing. So, I'm intrigued for the future, but cautiously optimistic, because again, I don't trust the suits at Disney this has been such a sleeper hit for them. I never trust that when something like that happens, because then all of a sudden your nice 50 million budget is now, well, maybe we should put the next one into the cinemas and it's going to be 200 million, and it's not 90 minutes anymore, it's 2.5 hours, and
it'll come in less than a year, way too soon to develop anything good, right?
And there won't be any there won't be any artistic integrity behind it, because when you go from a $50 million budget to the 200 million, that's when the suits are taking over things. So it's really not that I've got terribly much of a problem with this. It's the future that worries me, because I think they got away with this one really well. But I think they might learn the wrong lessons from it, and that's always the worry with Hollywood. In terms of the language, though, I had no problems with that being the way they spoke, because we live in a world where every Roman movie's had people speaking in posh English accents for the last, century of cinema. So I've got no problem, whenever they speaks like David Niven or Peter Ustinov or something in Rome. I know it's a little bit much when they're saying like, okay, and although shit's a much older word, that goes back to the 13th century. But yeah, it was a little bit colloquial, but I can understand why they did that, because they're not just trying to sell that film to us, are they? They're trying to sell this to a whole new generation. And interestingly, the younger people in my work that's seen it, who wouldn't even be old enough to remember Predators coming out, really, in terms of being old enough to watch that, never mind the Predator original. They kind of loved this because they could identify with the coming of age part, and that got them into the Predator. Whereas they can't identify with Dutch because they didn't grow up in a culture where Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Van Damme, and they didn't grow up in that culture at all. They've grown up in a very different environment. So to them, it's almost like an identifiable young woman who's just skilled and talented and wants to do her best and become her best self. That's a Predator movie at the same time. So I think it's a quite odd dichotomy, but I'm cautiously optimistic, but we shall see in the next few years. And I'm not sure. I don't trust them not to suddenly just knee-jerk reaction it and think, let's just go big budget again. This is done really well. Everybody says it's great. Let's throw hundreds of millions at it. And then we're back to square one with just ridiculous nonsense plots again, but written by hacks.
We'll see. Time will tell, right? Jamie.
I don't think if they throw millions of dollars at it, that guarantees it's going to suck. I mean, there's a lot of good Marvel movies that are very expensive to make, and I think they're pretty good. There's some big
They're all-
blockbusters out
They're
there.
all
that I
cookie
like.
cutter nonsense, though. You could just switch the plots of most of them, couldn't you?
Entertain me, man. This isn't a David Lynch movie. It's Predator. So yes, I agree with you guys on everything you said. Most of it I can overlook. The end, like I said, I was confused. I had to watch it 3 times. I had to pause it. The first time I watched the movie, I missed that she picked up the helmet. I was either blinked, I looked away, or I was thinking, what should I say about the scene that happened right before when we do this show? Because sometimes I'll do that. I'll say that and I'll say that, and things are going on. I'm fucking missing it. So yeah, I had to watch it a few times, but I can get over that because the chick sells it a little bit. You know, this is where it ends. It stops here. Okay. It's muddled, but you're selling me on it. I can look over all that stuff, but that language, man, it kept taking me out of it. It works for Disney movies that are animated, like Pocahontas. They could speak modern language in Pocahontas. Any period movie that's animated, yeah, they can do talk to the hand or whatever. It doesn't bother me.
They're
But
also
in
having, like,
this
dancing
movie,
tea
I
kettles.
kept. What's that?
They're also having like dancing tea kettles and
Yeah.
talking animals. So yeah, you're right. That totally works.
There's fantasy in this movie too, but I mean, I kept waiting for the chick to take out her phone and check her TikTok. Oh, what's on TikTok? I mean, is your name Naru or is it fucking Becky or Brittany? It kept taking me right out of it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. The French people are talking French. Why can't they talk their tongue? And then they would pray and they would talk Comanche, but only when they pray. There is a scene, strangely enough, when she's tied up with her brother and her brother says something in Comanche real fast. And like, just keep doing it. I'm not afraid of subtitles. I understand why they did it, but why? Give me, like Chris said, old school language.
Right.
Make them fucking British. I don't know. Give me something instead of that. Whatever. I don't expect them to talk like Tano from 1956 like Lone Ranger episodes. Probably in today's climate, in the waking, maybe that's, I don't know, is that, you can't do that because it's prejudice towards Native Americans. I don't know the rules. I can't keep up with the fucking rules. But
even Johnny Depp did that about 10 years ago, didn't he? In the reboot.
Yeah, make them talk not exactly like that. You know what? It's so funny. I kept thinking this was almost a home run, except for that one aspect. It reminded me.
You said you rewatched it. Did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
in
rewatched it in Comanche.
And
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
Let me get to that.
Okay.
But watching it the first time, all I was thinking is, my God, it was almost a home run. Almost. To put it in football terms, none of you guys watch, not soccer, Davy. To put it in American football terms, not boring ass soccer, which sucks, where the clock fucking goes up and then
The beautiful game that the world
hits
adores.
60 minutes and then it keeps running.
The most
and no one
popular
knows when
sport in the
fucking
world.
Game is over.
Yeah.
I went to a soccer game one time and I said, it hit the end. It's still going. When's the game over? And everyone goes, we don't know. Where's the tension? Where's that last minute goal when you don't know when the last minute's coming?
90 minutes. They're all 90 minutes.
Yeah, but the one I went to 91 minutes, 92 minutes, because it was tied, I guess, or something.
And yeah, well, there's
Their
extra
discretion,
time.
they can add like.
Yeah,
5
but nobody
minutes.
knows how. Anyways, so Super Bowl 27. Craig, you remember Super Bowl 27? Dallas
course.
Cowboys and Buffalo Bills.
Yep, 52-17 or 30-13.
Jesus.
One of them. I don't know which
Well,
one.
let me explain it to you.
First
guys.
one or the second one?
Of course it
So,
was.
so Buffalo fumbles the ball, and Leon Lett picks up the ball and runs back 60 yards
The
for a
wrong way.
touchdown.
Yeah.
For a touchdown. Or did he? Because the
yeah.
son of a bitch
Don
started
Beebe.
to slow up
Yeah, Don
and
Beebe.
put out his hands to celebrate as he goes across the goal line. And Don Beebe came out 1 inch before he scored and knocked the ball out because he celebrated too fucking early. This movie reminded me of that. Like they were all in the writer's room going, we got this idea. We're on fire. And then Don Beebe came in and said, make them talk modern English. and they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball before they scored. They were so close. So yeah, that really ruined it for me. So I watched it today as they speak Comanche, and it's very strange because they're speaking Comanche, but it's dubbed, so their mouths are moving, and you can tell they're speaking English. And then you're watching the subtitles, which are English, which goes with what their mouth movements doing. But then you got the Comanche going.
Well, that would be distracting. Yeah.
So you hear blah blah blah, and they go, and then it says forever at the bottom. You're like, oh God. But sometimes you're reading it and you're not watching their mouth. And when that happens, you know, I don't want to sound like
what was the Comanche word for shit then?
Well, that's strange you asked that. Did I like it better though? Not to sound like a hipster, but I think I kind of did. But there is a scene where in the English speaking movie, they are tied to the tree, and the brother goes to Naru. He says something in Comanche, and if you watch it with the subtitles on the English with the subtitles, it says just speaking Comanche or Comanche something. He spoke Comanche, something like that. But if you take that same scene into the Comanche version where they're speaking Comanche the whole time, and then he comes to that part where he says that, they don't say speaking Comanche or, you know, whatever. It's they say, this is some crazy shit. That's literally what it says. He doesn't say this is some crazy shit in the English one, but he says it in the Comanche one. This is some
I was hoping that's
shit.
where they say, let's go, we'll get to the chopper or something.
So if you want to know how to say shit in Comanche, pick a couple syllables out of there, roll a dice, and maybe you got it.
Well, it's like,
so that was my big issue.
It's like the if you guys have ever seen, there's a comedy movie that was made like 20 years ago called Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
Oh yeah, Enter the Fist.
If you watch that, because if you could put it in what they're actually saying or something like that, it's just complete gibberish nonsense, because their mouths were not following what the subtitles were saying, but they were speaking English, but just saying just complete gibberish. You can put that in the DVD and everything. That's where you had the gopher chucks and and everything. But the thing that while I was watching it, my friend Joe and I did the same thing, like Pete had said. It's like, okay, it's a little bit more low tech. You notice he doesn't have a shoulder cannon. He wasn't wearing any armor. You know, he's basically just running around in underwear. You know, so it's like, so
and his cloaking wasn't as good.
Yeah, when they're shooting him, I mean, it's like it's hitting him and everything. You know, the helmet is lower tech, as we'd said. You know, instead of a cannon, his helmet would shoot some sort of projectiles, like Yondu's arrows in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, where it would, you know, go wherever he wanted. But then there was things that I was reading that said, no, this predator was a feral predator, as you know, he said, and that he's basically a noob. You know, you can tell that it's like, oh, he doesn't have many skull trophies on him, and the weapons that he has, they had already established that they had cannons, but he wasn't initiated yet, so you're not allowed to use them yet. You have to use primitive weapons. The helmet is scaled back because that's a learner's one. It's like you have to prove yourself before.
So it's like a predator in training, kind of, then, right?
That's what I was. But again, these are things that I was reading, and it's like to me, the viewer, and perhaps to other people too, I just took it as, well, it's 300 years ago, and so there's been advances in predator stuff too, although they already figured out interstellar travel, you know,
they have spaceships,
you know, and they figured that part out. Or, you know,
not spacesuits.
He doesn't have the nuclear bomb, you know, to blow up a square block. He had those like 3 disc things or whatever that basically just killed everybody, but it didn't level 500 yards like it did in the first movie. So that was one of the things where I was like, well, what am I supposed to believe? Is this a rookie? You know, it's like, well, did she beat, you know, basically let's say a teenage predator, you know, who didn't know any better? Because watching the movie also, remember the wolf got him a couple times. You know, the wolf,
That's a good point.
before he gutted the wolf,
good
the wolf
point.
actually clawed him a couple times, and the bear fucked him up too.
Yeah.
You know, I think, didn't he get thrown by the bear grabbed him and threw him until he finally just like muscled the bear, pulls it up, you know, had his claws and rained down on him and everything. So that was one of those things where I was like, what am I to believe with this? You know, I mean, I guess it's kind of like you go with what I originally thought and say that it's a little bit more low tech, you know, with what he's using, or it's maybe a little bit more of a level playing field, that it's like they have guns, but they're not automatic guns. They have spears and knives and such. But so you know, maybe because otherwise, you know, you'd just be blowing showing up and blowing everything away. There's no sport to it. So I'm not sure which I'm to believe from watching the movie. And the other things that you guys had mentioned, I kind of agree with too. You know, with the language, a little bit of the CGI wasn't as wasn't Marvel quality necessarily, but it was fine. It was for the most part. It was I didn't have much of a problem with that. But yeah, the biggest thing was just with trying to figure out the whole thing with the Predator's background. It's like, what is he a rookie, or is it just low tech? So, but I'll go with the low tech part. That at least makes it, and some of his low tech weapons. My friend and I were joking when she was between the two stones, and he had his shield, and she couldn't cut his head off, but he had his cut in stone. My buddy goes and says, "What the hell's that thing made of? Adamantium? What is it? You can cut through anything?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And then of course she got to do the do it, trying to get him to come on. And I thought she would go, "Kill me, I'm right here," but luckily she, we just stuck with the
really would have taken us out if she went, "You are one ugly motherfucker."
I kept waiting for that.
That's true. And Jamie, you had mentioned that one of they didn't this, so they're now what, 4 out of 5. So they didn't use your one ugly motherfucker in this.
I mean, the whole first movie could be one of the most quotable movies of all time.
Oh yeah.
There's so many lines in that movie.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, again, and one of my friends, when I said I'd watched the movie, he said to me, he replied back to my Facebook thing. He said, I wouldn't waste that on a broke dick dog, and then right away I wrote back,
jawed faggots. Goddamn sexual tyrant. I mean, you could just go on and on.
And right away I replied back to him and I said, Billy. We
could have had one of them just shaving randomly throughout the movie, just sitting there.
I ain't got time to bleed. I mean, you could just keep fucking going. That's such a quotable movie.
Yeah, between that first Predator movie and the first 2 Terminator movies, man, so many.
Hey, you got in this one. This is some crazy shit.
Right. Yeah, Comanche.
And Terminator's got the exact same problem. And do we need to ever hear "Come with me if you want to live" again?
I know.
Which there was 5 different endings for the Predator, and that was the original ending that they wanted. They wanted Arnold to show up at the very end of the Predator and say that to the male lead, "Come with me if you want to live," which doesn't even make sense because that's the Terminator line.
Yep, and Ripley was going to be one of them as well.
That was one, and Newt was another one.
Newt was another one.
Then there was the ending they went with, and then there was another ending they show in the trailer where more ships are coming to Earth, and the male lead looks up in the trailer, and he's like, "Yeah, we're ready, motherfucker," or something like that. So 5 separate endings for that last movie. So you guys are all right. This was much better than that movie.
Yeah. I mean, my issues, I think you guys have all talked about, so I'm not going to go into it. I think the one thing for me that I was disappointed in, which I think would lead to not even having to consider to do a direct sequel to this, is it would have been very easy, because we've got this Predator 2 with the introduction of the old gun, right? So how about at the end of this movie, he's dead. Predators come down to grab his carcass. And basically what the idea is that, well, you know what? You beat our guy here, but instead of us killing you, you got to give us that weapon. and they take the
Yeah.
weapon. They go back to wherever it is. It explains why the Predators now have that gun, and you don't need to do a sequel to this film. Because now you get a lot of people who are like, well, we know that gun's got to wind up with the Predators. So how does that happen? We need to see it. Well, we don't really need to see it because they could have done it in this film, right?
So she's lucky she didn't kill a xenomorph, isn't she? When she just put the blood all over her face, that would have
Maybe the
melted
end
herself.
credits-
Yeah.
Maybe the end credits is it. That explains it. They come back and
Yeah.
kill him and take their gun back.
I
There it
guess.
is.
And they just don't
Yeah.
show it. Yeah.
And we also joked when she came back to the village, you know, and like everybody's, you know, oh wow, look at that. I said, you're gonna have one guy come up to her and say, that's great. Go make us some dinner, you know, or something, you know. It's like,
Fetch me my slippers.
yeah.
Haven't you got yourself a husband yet? Nothing's changed for this poor girl at all.
Or my buddy had also said, he said, you notice the guys, you know, were smart. All the men in the movie were the Native Americans were all smart enough to tie their hair back. Said the women, they got their hair flying in their face the whole time. You know, it's like they all had the pigtails or braided their hair back, but she's got her hair flying everywhere, so she had to keep throwing it all over the place. And
Definitely for me, more positives than negatives. I think I quite enjoyed it, and like a couple of you said, compared to the last film, an absolute classic.
Yeah.
The last one really was bad.
Yeah.
Now, if they come out with an action figure that looks like this Predator, are you buying it, Aloe?
100% no. Looks like shit.
Do you know, I was going to say they'll love to do that, don't they? Just introduce a new Predator so they can have a Nico figure, Nika, is that what they're called? And then a Hot Toys version.
Oh, NECA, NECA, yeah.
NECA, yeah. So I'd imagine they'll all be ready for Comic Con next year, and you know
they'll do something. But
my
yeah,
Target
I hate the look.
Yeah,
Have them already.
yeah. So, but overall, I think for what film for including Alien versus Predator, that's 6, isn't it? Film 6 in the franchise. I think this is definitely the best 6th. You know, compared to where Terminator was by Dark Fate. Ooh.
Yeah, that's true. It's better than that.
Yeah. Or Prometheus. No, 6th Alien would be, well, AVP2, I suppose. And nobody knows if AVP2 is a good movie or not because nobody can see anything in it.
Yeah, it's too dark.
Yeah. I'll let you know if I can ever find a way to turn the brightness up.
Yeah, all the way.
All right, there you have it, everybody. Our take on Prey, the latest installment in the Predator franchise. If you've seen it, let us know what you think down in the comments below. And thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, all together.
All the damn time.
For Chris Laszlo, Davy Gallagher, Jamie Laszlo, and Craig Kaminski, I am Pete Pardo. Good night, everybody. See you next week here on The Monsters Den. Take care. Bye-bye.